Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Mouthing Off with Mike, the only wrestling podcast that feels that they should just keep the forbidden door locked at the current moment. I've got the host of Derrick's Wrestling Toys and Tees. He's a familiar face. Welcome into Mouthing Off with Mike to do our forbidden door predictions. Derrick, how you doing today, Derrick?
I'm doing great. Hey, thank you for having me back on the show.
Oh, dude, it is a pleasure. It's all mine to have you come back. We had a great conversation. We got to see some of your awesome wrestling collection, some of those hot items. If you haven't checked out that episode, folks, it's on my YouTube. It's on my Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to Derrick's channel. All of his info will be in the description of this episode, both audio and video. Well, Derrick, I'm going to start us off strong here. Before we get into these matches, I want to ask you a question. I kind of alluded to it in my intro. I've asked this question to my good brother Dyson. I've talked it through with some of my good brothers over at Four Sides of the Ring. We're kind of all in the same boat. We feel something is off this year with Forbidden Door. It doesn't feel like a Forbidden Door anymore because a lot of the stars that we saw in New Japan previously with Forbidden Door are now AEW talent. Do you feel that Forbidden Door doesn't feel the same, or do you still have the same excitement levels for the pay-per-view?
I would definitely say that, yes. I think it's lost its luster because you have a whole bunch of people, wrestlers that came from the New Japan, where normally usually don't see them until the day of the pay-per-view. But now, since the format is taken to the left, so to speak, when you have them going as being as somewhat like a regular of the AEW shows, it's definitely kind of lost the luster of what Forbidden Door is all about because it's just we want to get the art of surprise of who's going to be there. You know what I'm saying? So I guess it's kind of like just put the whole thing in the back burner for that.
Yeah. No, and that's a valid statement. And Derrick's right. It does feel like it's lost its luster a little bit. Do you think that maybe down the line, maybe it might be time to consider AEW rebranding this pay-per-view to something maybe a little bit different? Or do you feel it can sustain in its current level?
Yeah, I think it's probably going to sustain in its current level. All they need to do is like I said, just try not to have more exposure before the pay-per-view. You can have like a build, but don't let it be too noticeable. You know what I'm saying? Because I think what it is like they're giving those wrestlers from New Japan the airtime that that they don't need until the day of the Forbidden Door. So I think
Right.
I think it will sustain it, but it needs to tweak it to the point that we want to build up the people, the New Japan wrestlers to be on Forbidden Door, not just have them to be on there just for the sake of being on there in certain shows like Dynamite and Collision and Rampage.
Sure. Yeah, I agree. I appreciate Derrick answering that question for us. Folks, I'm going to ask you the same question as you're listening, as you're watching. Hit me up on social media at MOWM_podcast. Put it in the comments of the YouTube video. Tell me, do you still feel that Forbidden Door feels forbidden, quote unquote? With that being said, Derrick, we've got, as of the moment we record this, we've got a pretty hefty match card for Forbidden Door. We're already approaching 9 matches. We still have one more Dynamite at the time of this recording, so there probably will be matches added. So stay tuned to our socials. Once again, all of that being the info down below if anything is added. But let's take a look here at the Forbidden Door match card. I'm going to start easy match, most recent match that was added to the card, and that's going to see MJF take on CMLL's Hechicero. Derrick, who do you got in this match? And are you a fan of Hechicero?
I got a chance to see Hechicero last night. While we were recording, I saw it last night on Collision. Wow, he is the real deal. I'll tell you that right now. I mean, if you ever get a chance to see Hechicero wrestle, He's one bad dude. I tell you that right now. But I think MJF will have his hands full for this one, especially when Hinchadero is aligned with Gates of Agony and Brian Cage. So it's going to be kind of like a very interesting situation. But somewhere, somehow, I still believe MJF's going to edge it out against them.
I like it. I think this will be a good match on the card. I was actually shocked. I'm a big Hechicero guy ever since I saw him come over with CMLL and do that angle they ran with the BCC a couple months ago. I
Yeah,
kind of fell in love with Hechicero. He's my guy, my guilty pleasure, superstar, wrestler, whatever you want to call him. But yeah, I got MJF here. I do not think the Wolf of Wrestling is going to lose in his second match back since returning at Double or Nothing. I think it'll be a good match, but MJF, clear, cut, and easy and to the point. So we've got a match here that Zack Sabre Jr. himself wanted, and that's going to see him take on freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy. This is very interesting. I thought things were going to go in a different direction for Cassidy for this pay-per-view. I thought maybe a feud with the Don Callis family or something along those lines. So this took me by surprise. But Zack Sabre Jr. requested this match. Who do you got here, Derek? Are you taking the master technical wrestler, Zack Sabre Jr.? Are you taking freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy?
Ooh, now this is a awesome match. They have a big rivalry. Of course, these two go head to head. I mean, I think the last match they did together was a classic. So, I would like you said, I think the Don Couch family will be in play somehow, some way in this matchup. So, I think Orange Cassidy really need to, keep his shades on and look all kind of directions for this one. But I really think, well, for me, I will go Orange Cassidy to edge it out some kind of way.
I like it. That's a good pick. I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna go in the opposite direction. Something is just telling me Zack Sabre Jr. is gonna get the win because of the Don Callis family. You mentioned it. They might be in play here. If I was a betting man, and I am, ladies and gentlemen, I'm putting my bottom dollar on what Derek said here, and I'm thinking the Don Callis family gets involved. Kind of cost Orange Cassidy, and I think Zack Sabre Jr. Gets that just squeaked it out type of win. Should be another fun match. It's interesting to see how this card took form, with some of the choices they did with some of these Forbidden Door matches. Now originally Forbidden Door was a big New Japan AEW thing. We're starting to see CMLL. We're starting to see Stardom, which we'll get into here in a few moments with the women's matches. But we also have a Owen Hart Foundation tournament first round match, and that's going to see Bryan Danielson, one of the best wrestlers alive, and he's going to go up against Shingo Takagi from New Japan, who is also a fantastic professional wrestler. This is an easy one for me, Derek, as well. I'm going Bryan Danielson to advance in the Owen Hart Cup tournament. Who do you got here?
I'm with you. I'm going with the American Dragon because I think he's on a mission right now, trying to get some retribution before he hangs it up. So I think he's going to be doing really good for this matchup. I like it. It's going to be a tight match. I think it's going to be, for me, it's going to be somewhat tied on with match of the night, along with some other match we'll talk about in a little bit.
I got you. I got you. Yeah, it'll be interesting because as we know, if you're an AEW watcher, whoever does win the Owen Hart tournament this year does get a championship opportunity. And that's something that Bryan Danielson has yet to hold in his time in AEW, something that he said himself he probably doesn't want to hold. I think that might change here because I've got a feeling Danielson's going to run the gauntlet here, and I think he's going to go all the way in this tournament. Are you in that same area? Do you think Danielson is a favorite to win this tournament?
I think he has a clear shot to go all the way. I mean, I think the momentum that he is in right now and the mindset he's in right now. I mean, you just had to root for Brian. You had to root for him all the way.
I agree. I agree. I like it. I like it. Me and Derek. We're so alike. We already we haven't. The only one we had different was Zach and Orange Cassidy, and that's even a coin flip
Yeah.
match, right? That's why Derek is a great friend, and that's why you should subscribe to his YouTube. That's a cheap plug for him. Little commercial break, right? We've got
Yeah.
the AEW Women's Champion, Timeless Tony. She's defending that title against Stardom's Mina Shirakawa. And yes, Derek, to answer the question you're wondering, I rehearsed her last name in the mirror about 5 different times to make sure I could pronounce it correctly. So,
Okay.
with that said, who do you got here? Timeless Tony holding on to the gold, or is Mina coming in to steal not only the gold, but her protege, Mariah May?
This is getting really juicy for real. So I'm saying, I think Mariah May she's in the middle of it, and I really think her alliance is going with Tony Storm. I mean, what can you say? I mean, I think for the match itself, I think it's gonna be another close match. I mean, I've seen Shirakawa wrestle a few times, and she is just on the money. I mean, she is just straight up pinpoint, straight up wrestling savant, and she is just doing her thing. But I think Tony Storm some way going to edge it out for the win and keep her belt.
I like it. I like it, Derek. I'm also in that department. I don't think the timeless Tony era, her time in the spotlight, ladies and gentlemen, it's not ending anytime soon. Timeless Tony's retaining the championship. But like Derek said, if you aren't really familiar with Mina, it's a simple YouTube search. Go on there, hit YouTube up, check out some highlights. She is very, very talented in the ring. I know when she was introduced, I had to do a little research myself. I'm not an expert. I'll never claim to be, but that's what Forbidden Door, the whole premise is, with this pay-per-view. But at the same time, it does feel a little bit different this year because of what we discussed earlier in the show. Speaking of another women's match, we've got two women's championships on the line in this one match here. We've got the TBS champion, Mercedes Moné, going up against New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong Women's Champion, Stephanie Vacour. And this is a double title match. Both titles are on the line here. Anything can go. Anything can happen. Mercedes Moné showed up in Mexico to confront Stephanie just this past weekend. When we get to this match, ladies and gentlemen, this one might be one to keep an eye on. I know I got my eyes on it. Derek, what do you see happening here? Do you think Mercedes Moné is going to capture that New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong Women's Championship that eluded her when she got hurt? Or do you think Stephanie's taking the TBS title to Mexico?
Wow. Now, I saw Stephanie wrestle a few times. All I can say is Mercedes, she has her hands full with her. That's going to be another like coin flip for her for that match. But I don't think Mercedes is going to let go of that TBS title, and she's going to have that New Japan Strong title, the one that eluded her. So I'm going with Mercedes for the win.
Oh, I like it. Mercedes for the win. Listen, folks, if you're a Dynamite watcher, I hope you've been scanning those QR codes per week. Derek, have you been catching those Mercedes Moné QR codes? Follow
I'll
the
check it out.
boss. Yes,
All right.
sir.
Yeah.
Don't miss out on those guys. She's giving away all sorts of stuff. And I
Yep.
think the grand prize is a chance to meet the CEO.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
that's a
Yep.
that's a free advertisement for AEW. They should be paying me on the backside here.
I know,
But
right?
I got to give it to Derek. I got to agree with my man. Mercedes Moné is walking in as a solo champion, but she's leaving Forbidden Door. She's leaving Long Island with double championships. Mercedes Moné and New Japan Pro Wrestling Women's Strong Champion. Speaking of new champions, Derek, the TNT Championship was unfortunately relinquished by the Rated R superstar, Adam Copeland. Unfortunately, he broke his leg in that steel cage match at Double or Nothing against Malachi Black, and it's a damn shame. It is speedy recovery to Cope, but it opens the door for a bunch of talent to get an opportunity for the TNT Championship. We've got Konosuke Takeshita. We've got Mark Briscoe. We've got Jack Perry. We've got Leo Rush. And at the time of this recording, we have a to-be-determined spot in this match, which I'm sure will be discussed on Dynamite. When you hear this, you'll already know who that last person is. But for the current moment, we only have these competitors in this match. And let's start with this. Now, Derek, we don't know that last spot. But if you were booking, if Tony Khan said, Derek, here's the pen, put in that last spot, who are you putting in this ladder match for the TNT Championship? And then the follow-up, who's your winner?
Ooh. All right, now this is going to be a real good one. Now, um, if I had my way, if I had the pen, I will probably I'll probably do a wild card on this one. A definite wild card on this one. So I'm thinking Roderick Strong.
Ooh! Let this man cook. Let him cook. Roddy Strong is a really good one for this
Yeah.
match. Just lost that international championship to Osprey. I
Yes.
like that. I like that. Roddy Strong. I like it. Who's your
Yeah.
winner? At the end of the day, when everything settles, who's going up that ladder and unhooking that TNT championship?
You know what? As much as I want Mark Briscoe to win, I really think Mark Briscoe should win. I mean, he is on a roll. He's been on fire ever since he won the RA championship. He's on this thing. But somehow, some way, those evil sons of you know what, the EVPs going to have their foot in their door and going to help Jack Perry to climb the ladder and get the TNT belt.
Derrick, I don't want to say you're spot on the money here, but my man is cooking today, folks. Let this man cook because it's hot all across the United States this past week. Heat wave is coming. I'm not talking NXT. I'm talking actual heat wave. And Derrick's just like the weather right now. He's on fire because I agree. Jack Perry, I hate to say this sentence, but he's going to become the new TNT championship because of those bastard EVPs and the Rainmaker Okada, who just wants to call everybody a bitch every time, every chance he gets.
Okada.
We could say it on Mouthing Off with Mike there. You let the
Yes,
people know.
man. He should be a hater of the year. I'm nominating hater of the year.
Oh, I like it.
That's a hot take.
That's a hot take. And Derrick, you're on fire today. So I like that take. Put him in the running, ladies and gentlemen. Give him a ballot for Hater of the Year for 2024. Kazuchika Okada, folks. But yeah, man, as much as I really freaking want Takeshita to win this match, Derrick, everything is just pointing to the EVPs giving these opponents the stick, the screwing, and giving the title to their boy Jack Perry. So it seems a little predictable at the current moment, but I think things will get a little unpredictable when we get to the main event. But before we get there, folks, if you're planning on attending Forbidden Door, check out the description of this episode. I do have a SeatGeek code that on your first purchase, you get $20 off. So if you're thinking of heading to Long Island, check out the link in the description of this episode. Get $20 off your first purchase on SeatGeek. Let's get back into the action here. We've got the IWGP World Heavyweight Champion, Jon Moxley, defending that title against Tetsuya Naito. Derrick, what are your thoughts here on this match?
Now, Jon Moxley and Naito, man, they just straight butt heads all the time, man. I mean, they are just, you're talking about go-getters, bumping heads. I mean, good God. And the last time I saw Naito Matt wrestlers, how he wrestled. Oh my God. He's a wild man like Jon Moxley. So it's so evenly matched. It's just a shame that it's not the main event. But I digress. So anyway, it's going to be another tight matchup indeed for both of them. So I think it's going to go back to Japan. I put Naito for the win.
Interesting. I've been kind of, saying a lot about, how AEW went out there, signed all of New Japan's biggest stars, but there are stars on the cusp right now of breaking out. Obviously, Naito, he's been a star for as long as I can remember, right? He's up there in age, but there are guys. Unfortunately, he just got hurt. Shooter, unfortunately, he's hurt, but it's interesting to see that at the current level, we don't have more New Japan representation here, right? You know what I mean? Like Stephanie, she floats between strong, New Japan Strong, and she, floats with CMLL. Mina's a Stardom girl. Shingo is a New Japan guy. Zack Sabre
Yeah.
Jr. But like at the same time, it's not like there's not new faces. We know all of these faces, on this card. Maybe one or two, right? It's very interesting. I hope that last ladder spot goes to another superstar that's not in AEW. But time will tell. I'm gonna give this win to Mox. I think Mox is gonna hold the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship just a tad bit longer. Something tells me that there could be shenanigans involved here, but I don't think so. I think it'll be clear and cut with a decision, a clean win for Moxley, and in Derrick's case, a clean win for Nato. But should be a good match. But yeah, I still feel like I'm looking for more. Maybe as we get closer, more matches will be announced. I know between you and me, I think the learning tree against Joe, Hook, and Shibata is probably going to end up getting added to this pay-per-view
Okay.
after what we
Okay.
saw on Collision this week. So if we
Yeah.
were to kind of take a look at that, and if that is to be a match that happens, who do you think wins, the learning tree or Joe, Hook, and Shibata?
I am like you. I'm kind of like just so Jericho'd out.
That's the best way to put it, though. That is the
I
best way to put it.
know.
I'm Jericho'd out, man.
Yeah, man. But I think for the most part, um Jericho and his branches, they just been together. They just started coming together like, a few weeks. But I think for the most part, Hook and Joe, they've been had battled each other, so they have a form of respect. And of course, Shibata had respect for Hook, so I think they're more cohesive. So I will go with Hook, Shibata, and Hook,
Samoa Joe.
Shibata, and Samoa Joe for the win.
There you go. You're good. You're good. I got you. I
Yeah.
got your back, bro. Don't worry.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
man. I am. I don't know what I want to call myself. Like I made the joke this past week on my show. I was like, I'm starting to become a leaf on the tree, but like leaves
Yeah.
fall off the tree all the time, So like I'm
Yeah.
one of them leaves that's kind of like about to fall, because I'm in and out on Jericho, man. Like it's like get what he's doing. He's getting a response out of me, even if it's not a positive response. So he's working me. I'm being worked, and it's working in that sense. But from a sense of entertainment, there's more to be desired in that regard. But I agree. Hook, Joe, Shibata, if this is a match, which I more than likely see it being added, I think they get the win, and maybe the learning tree starts to fall down or rot. Hopefully, fingers crossed
Yeah.
for our
Yeah.
sake.
Yeah.
At this current moment, folks, we are both trying to chop the learning tree down. We're trying to figure out who's going to win what title and who's going to be the main event when we get to August and All In Wembley. Because, ladies and gentlemen, the main event for Forbidden Door is not going to see Swerve Strickland defend that title against New Japan or CMLL. No. He's defending that against Will Ospreay, the aerial assassin. Ladies and gentlemen, this is big time. I was shocked when this match was announced and made, because Will Ospreay, the current international champion, is not defending this title, but he's vying for the World Heavyweight Championship. So it makes me a little confused in the booking sense, but I'll let Tony play it out. Who do you got here, Derrick? Swerve versus Will Ospreay, two of the best wrestlers in the current world, and especially in AEW.
I'm like you. I was very surprised when Ospreay won the gauntlet match for the world title shot. So it's kind of like pulled up like a kibosh on the All In matchup if they plan on doing Swerve and Ospreay and All In Wembley. So it's like this is like a, but I really think that this is gonna be the match of the night, and I'll do a hot take on this one too. Well, I got two hot takes. I'll do the first one right now. I think that this Osprey versus Swerve, match of the year candidate. That's my hot take number one. So I'm gonna save the second take for just a few minutes.
I like
And
it.
so I think, well, for me, I think it's going to be another classic, Matt classic for me. So of course, Osprey has been on a roll ever since he been in AEW, undefeated in AEW. But I think for me, Swerve, he's going to edge it out against Osprey. Swerve's going to keep the world championship.
Hell yeah, Derek. That's what I like to hear because I think this is going to be a match of the year. I agree. I think Dave Meltzer is going to be shooting all sorts of stars over the TV after he watches this. He's going to be loving it. I'm not a big Dave Meltzer guy, if you couldn't tell. So at the end of the day, giving it to my man Swerve Strickland. It's his house. Nobody's breaking in. There's no kill shots done by Will Ospreay that Swerve can't kick out of, in my personal opinion. And I think Swerve heads to Wembley as the world heavyweight champion. But, ladies and gentlemen, it's going to be a good show. Make sure you check it out. If you're a fan of AEW, make sure you go subscribe to Derrick and check out his channel. My man's got a growing wrestling t-shirt memorabilia collection that he is showcasing for you every week in and out. He just surpassed 100 subscribers. So congratulations, Derrick. I want to tell you that on the show here. So here's to the next 100 and the 100 after and the 100 after. But before we wrap this up, let's finish it off here. Any shocks, surprises, hot takes that you're leaving out to the end because you want the people to have some suspense? Any final thoughts you got before we send it home for the people at home? Shoot.
This is my second hot take, and it's the last one. All right. Now you remember, Mike, on Dynamite. I think it was either Dynamite or I think it was it was Dynamite. When the last part of Dynamite, I think it was recently, when MJF and Ospreay were in the same ring and they faced off against each other, I'm thinking that's the main event of All In.
Okay, so you're thinking the main event of All In is Ospreay MJF, so that would mean Ospreay would win the world title within the next at Forbidden Door, or would win it shortly thereafter, or no world title, international championship match.
Right.
Okay.
I'm thinking no international championship match.
I would not be mad at that. I mean, that's a great way to build that international championship up. It kind of feels right now with Ospreay going up against Swerve that it's an afterthought. So that's a great way to make it not feel like one and have it main event Wembley. I like that take, Derrick. It might not be as hot as you were cooking here as you thought, but it's a really damn good take. I like it.
Or how about this? Ospreay does a rematch of the world championship at All In. But also, I think MJF is going to assert himself in, be a triple threat at All In.
That's another fire. That's a good take too. Derrick, you're cooking good takes here, man. You're cooking with fire. My man had his Wheaties this morning. He's had a good breakfast, and that's what it all comes down to, ladies and gentlemen, because he's got some great takes, and that's why I think you guys would enjoy his show here on YouTube. So go subscribe. It's in the comments down below, in the link as well. Derrick, anything else? Tell the people what's going on. What's the next video? What's the next when's the next toy hunt? When are we getting the collection show off? Tell the people what the content schedule is and where to find you.
Okay. All right. Next episode I'm going to do is my sleeper picks, surprisingly good sleeper picks of the year so far. So that is coming up on the pipeline. And you can follow me. You can find me on YouTube on Derrick Ventura's and She's, of course. Find me on TikTok and Instagram at Devastator_Derrick78. Or you can catch me on X at DBSTR_Derrick78.
Hell yeah, Derrick. Once again, thanks for joining me to go through these predictions, these picks, these takes for Forbidden Door. I appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it from Derrick and me, go out there and enjoy pro wrestling. It's going to be one hell of a show in Long Island.
Peace, everybody.